What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Versus Gravity podcast. It's been a hot minute. We've just been super busy doing stuff, but I want to go back down to memory lane. It's funny, we were literally just talking about how university was so long ago. Super brief. We met at university, 13 years ago?
13 years.
Can't be bothered to go into that. We've done it at length. If you're interested, go watch our other YouTube videos. But I want to focus more so on final year and what it was actually like for us landing our first corporate jobs, what the journey was like going through corporate, the different companies, the trials, the tribulations, and where we are now. The fact that neither of us were corporate and how that journey happens. So I think we've both kind of had different experiences in final year. I know for you, obviously, you managed to get your a grad scheme, but I didn't. But let's kind of talk about that at length. So let's start almost first day of final year of uni.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing, as Sam said, was this sort of impending pressure, right, of having to finish university, get our first job, and start the career, right? And we pretty much were kind of looking down similar avenues of, okay, cool, there's only one route to follow, which is go down the corporate route.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much all ignited when we were doing applications, and that was a very sort of stressful process, wasn't it? Like having to sit down,
that's horrible,
one application after the other, getting rejected, not knowing why we didn't get rejected. I'm sure if you're corporate and you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Dude, do you remember in the library we'd get those tests, like before you do the video interviews, you had those logic and maths questions.
Yeah.
And we'd be sat in the library and we'd all basically do each other's tests.
Yeah. And I hope our former employees never see this, but of course, we were sitting there trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we do this test? What applications do I need to send off? And it was just a very lengthy process. It was pretty much as kind of like shoot 100 bullets and hit once type of thing.
But kind of even before that, so you did a placement at Nissan. Was it in engineering?
Engineering,
placement?
Yeah.
I did a placement at a company called Amy, which was like railway consultancy. Did you get an offer from Nissan, like a grad role?
Funny enough, my manager at the time actually told me, don't even bother. Because he said, no, genuinely, he said, you're too good for this role. And the department I was working with at the time essentially was just to become an engineer who was doing sort of it was advanced engineering, right? And there wasn't that much work around at the time. I'm sure nowadays it's different with AI, with all of the new innovations right now. But at the time, I was very much more the type of person who was client facing, right? I was someone who you could put in front of a client, and I was in more of a, not sales role per se, but in more of a, or at least my manager thought I'd be going down the leadership role. And so when he looked at me and he said, actually, you know what? You're too good for this role. You're not suited to this department. I could offer you the grad scheme, but it's not really the best thing for you. I think you're better off going to a company where you can excel, where you can grow. And so that really was what kind of ignited me moving in the direction of corporate instead of engineering.
And why consulting? Because I know obviously in fourth year or final year for us at uni, we both studied mechanical engineering. It was actually when you could start choosing your subjects. Prior to that, you basically had everyone follow the same curriculum. We chose very different subjects. Like you very much went down the business. What was that business module that you guys always banged on about?
I think it was just called business and engineering.
Yeah, and I went more down the kind of mathematical side, for lack of a better term. But what was it about consulting and that side that interested you? Because for me, I was like, I want kind of no part in this whatsoever.
It was the ascension. It was the money, to be honest. At the time, like I said, the manager that I had at Nissan, I don't know what he was exactly earning, but it was capped, right? He pretty much had been in the same role for over a decade. And I looked at that and I thought, well, do I really want to be earning that much for the next 10 years? I mean, yeah, it's comfortable, don't get me wrong, but I had bigger ambitions at the time. My dad is also a management consultant, and he was very much telling me, hey, look, if you want to make more money, then this is the way to go. You'd have more exciting projects, you'd get flown out to places. All the glitz and glamour about what consulting was back then was what captured my eye. So that's why I went down that route. And honestly, as well, just being completely honest here, right? I got into engineering thinking I was going to be Tony Stark, right? I was going to be making shit. I was going to be doing really cool stuff.
Did you get a 2-1 or 2-2?
I got a 2-1 in the end.
You did better than me though, but just I think.
But basically when we were going through our university course, none of that actually came into fruition. Like, we didn't do anything really exciting. The most exciting part was I can't remember the name of the actual the course, but it was as close to inventing as it could get.
And the FYP, final year project?
Yeah, it was the final year project, yeah. That was as close as we got. And I kind of like got into sort of final year thinking, well, none of this really amounted to what I was thinking it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I decided as well, okay, cool, let me take a different route. And so I stepped into the more business side of things. And that allowed me then to capture the first role I had out of university, which was management consulting.
Because didn't you also have an offer from Accenture?
I did.
Which is a really fucking hard... Like, because the thing is, the difference between us two in our final years, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you were a lot more locked in to some degree. You're also extremely poor. You used to work at Domino's. Mate, do you remember those quizzes you used to do?
Yeah, honestly.
How much did you earn per quiz?
Like 10p?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. So, like, you know, in terms of how we kind of looked at our final year, I was very much in a position where I had no money left, right? I'd pretty much like wasted it all in the 4 years prior. And I remember there was a pivotal moment, I think it was in second year, when I had nothing in my account. I was like minus 2,500 in my overdraft, got the minimum student loan. And I remember saying to my dad, oh, like, I need some help. And he goes, nah.
See ya.
He said, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
Because you've spent all this money, you don't have it, you don't understand the value of money. You've got to start working for it. So that's when I started applying for jobs. And whilst I was applying for jobs, I was doing these quizzes, right? So back in the day, you could complete quizzes for big companies online, and they pay you peanuts.
Like literally, what, like 10p per quiz?
Literally 10p per quiz. Yeah, it was really bad. And so I did that for a while. And obviously, you know, that kind of really made me realize, wow, I really do have to work. It's not just going to get handed to me. And then I landed my job at Domino's, which was, again, grueling. And it really opened my eyes as to what life could have been like.
Free pizzas for us, though.
Lots
Whilst
of free
I was
pizzas.
smoking and watching anime, he was delivering the pizza. So I was like, Ihsan, you need to work hard.
It was tough. I was doing some midnight shifts.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't regret a single thing, because doing those type of jobs really opened my eyes, and it's allowed me to essentially live a life where I don't worry so much about what ifs. And it's very much now kind of pushed me into this, well, I'm just going to make it work, right? And essentially that sort of attitude is what allowed me then to lock in final year and really just like send it and push for those roles. And as you said, right, I was doing like, I don't know, maybe 10 applications a day, landed Accenture, landed IBM.
But I think the difference is you put a lot more effort into each individual application.
Yeah.
I just literally spray and pray. I didn't get a single offer.
I think it's also, there's the other thing, right? Which
I also
is,
didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. I was
true.
applying to finance, consulting, FMCGs. I had no idea. I was almost the complete opposite to him in final year. Super undisciplined. All I care about, because I still had money, was smoking, anime. Going out, we still went out quite a lot. I just didn't really do anything else.
But you know why? I also think the reason why you were able to do that, and it's kind of the classic, Sam is smarter than me, right? So when it came to studying, you were very much like, for example, the math stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't have to work as hard at learning it as I did, because I just wasn't as smart as him. So for me to land those roles, I had to put in a lot of work, and I took it that way. I've always done it that way, pretty much our entire life.
He got me my placement.
Yeah.
He did my application. I took his portfolio. We did like the drawings. I took his drawings to my interview. I'm looking at them for the first time ever, trying to explain it to the person who's interviewing me. I'm kind of there like on the spot, having to like rip it off the dome, and somehow I got the job. And it because of him, because he did my whole application in second year.
But I do genuinely think that's why. It's because like, you know, when you look at people who are naturally smart,
I think it's just laziness though, which ties into sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. If I had to sum it up, I'm not the type of person that can rock up to something and wing it.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be prepared. So that's, I think, also why I put so much effort into those applications, because I was like, well, I don't have the smarts to do this thing off the dome, so I've got to really make sure I'm prepared.
I mean, it paid off, right? And I think we can all agree that action will always be kind of sitting there and like overthinking stuff. Yeah, and that just applies to anything in life. You can sit there and hyper obsess and hyper analyze everything. The person who's just going to execute it will always win in the end. And this doesn't even just apply to getting a grad job. This is like fitness.
Yeah.
This is
100%.
whatever you want in life. It's just be a doer. Don't just be like don't have an ego about stuff.
Right. So what was it like for you? Because, I mean, obviously, you know, as you said, I put a lot of time into this stuff. What were you kind of going through during that time?
I think there's an element of that because you kind of hit the nail on the head. Academically, I never really had to try that hard. So all my reference points in life were like, oh, I don't need to try hard and somehow it always works out. And I just assumed it was going to work out. But also looking back, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing application-wise. Like I didn't understand a thing about finance. I didn't understand a thing about consulting. I didn't understand a thing about literally any single job application I was doing. I was just so lazy. I just could not be asked to put effort into something. So I just thought stuff would work out. And I mean, I did end up getting a grad role, but it was in a PR firm. And like for me and PR, like literally like the antithesis of each other. It's like matter and antimatter. I'm not an English person at all. I used to get roasted for the amount of times that I mispronounced stuff at university. So when I got that job, I just wanted a job because I was starting to get skint towards the end as well.
Yeah.
But it was hard to just look at all these other people. I was the only one in my flat or the house that didn't get a grad job. Everyone else was having it. And obviously I was happy for everyone, but deep down you're like, fuck, am I the only guy that hasn't got a fucking grad scheme?
It
like, you feel like a loser.
Yeah. Do you know what's really interesting is it when you get into the real world, that's where you get found out.
Yeah.
And you know, you see this all the time. You see some really smart people turn up to interviews and they don't get the role.
So true.
And they're kind of wondering, well, why didn't I get it? And it's because, you missed the mark. At the end of the day, the real world will always favor the person who puts the effort in.
So true.
More so than the guy who can just, blag his way through it, right? Because of the smarts. And the same, again, like Sam said, the beautiful thing about fitness is why I love it so much is it's the only true thing these days in life. Obviously there's other things, but one of the only things which very much is a pure meritocracy.
Yeah.
If you put the work in, you will get the output.
Yeah,
right?
so true.
So like when we sit down with, even when we're working with some of our clients and I look at like what they're doing and they're not getting the result they want, it's very easy. It's usually just hold the mirror up and say, hey, look, are you actually doing what you need to do? Or are you just saying, oh, well, I can, get away with trying to wing it? 99% of the times, if you're not getting the result you want, whether that's with your job, whether that's with anything, right? Fitness, you've got to look at your inputs and you've got to look at your effort.
It's hard though. Some people, I think obviously people, when we work with them, they're aware of that. Like they've taken that first step. But I feel like for the majority of people that just go through life kind of coasting, they'll never realize it. Just in the same way I didn't realize when I was young. Obviously, that's the ignorance of youth to some extent. I didn't have enough life experience to learn that. Yeah. But it is so true. It is a true meritocracy. And I think that's why it's universally respected. But kind of coming back to it. So I guess, okay, you got a job at IBM. So yeah, why did you turn down Accenture? Because Accenture's, to some extent, I think most people would put it above.
Yeah, for sure.
And they gave you a sign-on bonus. I remember that.
Yeah, they did. Accenture they were giving me a signing on bonus of, I think it was 10K or something.
Which at that time, 10K
was the root of all of my, all the solution to all of my problems.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't do it was because fundamentally, when I went to the Accenture interview, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I felt like it was very much dog eat dog, step over dead bodies just to climb up to the top. And I didn't like that. When I went to IBM, it was very much, you can help each other to get to the top.
Yeah.
There was no sort of egos in the room, especially during the assessment center. And it just resonated with me so much more.
Nice.
The ethos, the attitudes. And that's why when Accenture came to me, I provisionally accepted it, but I was waiting for IBM. And I had to wait, I think, a good month.
For you to get the offer.
For me to get the offer. When they did, I turned down Accenture. I rescinded the offer and then I took on IBM. And I'm glad I did because, everything that I ended up doing when I was at IBM really did set me up for where I am today.
So walk me through, obviously finishing final year of uni, not the best year, poor as fuck, not necessarily in the best like mental headspace, obviously not working out. I'm pretty sure that was probably the worst shape. Not the worst yet, because obviously there's that picture which you've all seen, which was a bit later.
That was at the end of uni.
I was at the end of uni.
Yeah, that was the result.
The result. So I guess from that point to, because most people would look at it from an outsider's perspective, and for me, obviously at the time, like, you've landed IBM, your life's sorted. Your whole life you've worked to get to uni, you get your degree to get a grad job. You've got one of the best grad jobs ever. Walk me through what that process was like. Kind of how did, obviously we don't have to go into too much detail because we've spoken about it at length, but what was the process from you graduating to you starting IBM and you kind of starting to get into fitness, starting the real life page, for those of you who know, but also what like working in corporate was like?
Yeah. So getting the grad job obviously was immense, right? Because then it was like, oh, I've got something now. It's in the bag. I could, like, my life is set, right, after university. But then finishing university, I was, as Sam alluded to, in the worst shape I've ever been, right? Fat, like not in the best headspace, and essentially lazy, to be honest. I finished it lazy, not in the sense of, oh, like if I had work to do, I wouldn't do it. Like anything to do with my career, I was very much head screwed on. But when it came to myself, my own personal confidence, that's where I had gotten lazy. You remember when we first joined uni, I was actually athletic. I used to play football all the time. I was going to the gym. And then by the end of uni, it was literally the stark opposite.
Yeah.
And that really opened my eyes up. And I was like, well, I can't start my corporate career in terrible shape.
Yeah.
Because, you know, now I'm going into management consulting, which in my head at the time was like, oh my God, this is a huge thing. I couldn't be a small fish. So then I was like, right, I need to sort this out. So that's when my fitness journey started. And managing that alongside just landing my first corporate career was tough at first. Because A, I had no money, so I couldn't go to the gym, right? B, the type of job that I was doing was I was on client site all the time. So I was traveling up and down the country, you know, didn't know whether I was going to have a gym or not. And then C, also balancing, well, I want to work really hard and make a good name for myself here, but also at the same time, I need to find time to do this. You know,
also socialize.
And socialize.
Fresh out of uni, like the grad scheme, going out.
Yeah.
Dinner, it's just having fun. Like, you have to have fun when you're young as well, right?
And it was the first time in my life where I had some money. So it was like, well, you know, I remember my parents keep saying to me, oh, you got to save for this. And I was like, mate, what chance is that?
What are you on about?
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is the first time I've had money. So that was tough. And that was, as you said, it sparked me to kind of look at myself in the mirror and go, right, well, what is the biggest flaw I have? And at the time it was, I'm the type of person who would say I'm going to do something and wouldn't follow through. That's why I started at the time, the real life page. It was essentially a way of holding myself accountable, but not holding myself accountable just to me, but to everyone else in the internet, right? People would know, oh, who's this random dude posting? And then suddenly stop posting, even my friends at the time, to basically make a statement. Hey, look, I'm taking this seriously. I'm going to do it.
It's funny because none of us kind of believed you in that sense. You know, when people say like, oh, I'm going to do this thing, like, yeah, whatever, mate. Like, not that they're praying for your downfall. It's just like, no one kind of truly believes that you're going to do it.
No one believes it. And that's, and also, to be honest, it kind of made me think, oh, well, do I even believe in myself? Right. So I had to do it that way. So that's how I did it. I made that page. I was posting tips. I was posting my workouts. I was doing a lot of stuff. I was talking to the camera, telling them about my day. And I mean, look, it paid off, right? Because it allowed me to get out of that rut into where I am now in the best shape. So
I respect it a lot because at that time, like, he was starting to kind of carve his own path, which most people weren't doing. The fact that he acknowledged out of university that he was in bad shape, but he still wanted to improve it, even though he'd landed his grad job, which most people, once they've landed their grad job, they look at this one aspect of life, which you've been working on like literally your whole life to get to. Oh, I've made it. I've got this job. Who gives a fuck about my fitness? Who cares about this, about that? He was mature enough and maybe had the foresight to notice, hang on, the job is literally just one aspect of your life. Everything else here is just as important, if not more important, because it's going to affect how you perform in your job, how you perform with relationships, how you respect yourself. So was it Maidenhead?
Maidenhead.
He used to like go to these client sites at Maidenhead. I remember even at the time you were actually training for like a half Ironman.
Yeah.
And obviously very much into calisthenics. And you were just walking out at home.
Yeah.
I think at that time, I don't even think I was working out. Yeah. I think I was still, that's what we both had very different experiences. Whilst you still had fun, like we still went out and stuff.
For me, it was the ability to kind of do both. And that's what I used to do. I used to, you know, have fun. And then at the same time, during the week, I'd be locked in. You know, I'd be training. Yeah. I would I was in the hotel room. So I'd just do my workouts in the hotel room with my suitcase
Yeah.
Doing pull-ups on the fire doors. And, a lot of people look at that and go, oh, that's funny. But, like, that's all I had. That's literally all I had. And I remember some of my colleagues, they used to joke about it and go, oh, are you going to post on your Instagram today? And I was like, yeah, I am.
Now what? No, look at this. Look at him now.
So, yeah, all of that stuff I had to kind of make work. And what it's, looking back retrospectively, what it made me realize is it really isn't that hard to get in good shape. You genuinely just need a floor.
Yeah.
You need a floor, you need yourself. And you need not even a bit of like innovation. You just need to do basic things like push-ups, body weight squats. And that's half the job. If you do that consistently for months on end and you have relentless energy, you have a pursuit of a particular goal, you will get there.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I kind of went through the first, I'd say 6 months of my corporate career. It was working hard, turning up, being present, being social, and at the same time, behind the scenes when no one was watching and no one cared, I was training in my hotel room.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like I had still the complete opposite experience where even though I had that grad scheme, that only lasted 3 months and they actually let me go just because I obviously wasn't going to get a job there because I was terrible at it. And then I think I was on job sequence allowance for a few months, did the Bright Sparks. Bright Sparks is essentially, he did it before. You do like waitering services for events like company Christmas dinners. And the moment that hurt me the most was when I did the company Christmas dinner for Accenture. So I'm seeing these people that I've gone to university with in my year, landed their dream jobs. And here I am in a fucking shitty tuxedo being like, oh, can I take your drinks? And you could see some of these people who had egos. And look, fair play to them. I'd probably think the same. I could see that look where they're just like all smug, be like, oh, look at this guy, he's waiting the event whilst I'm here at Accenture. And I was like, bro.
How did that make you feel?
Mate, it kind of, to some degree, that might have been like the first catalyst of like, fuck this. Because I guess I did have a bit of an ego at that time and that was massively hurt. The guy that always excelled academically is now the guy that's waitering for all the other people. So clearly, it made me realize, oh, maybe the decisions that I've made up until this point in my life aren't the right ones. So I think after that, I was like, oh, I'm going to get into drop shipping. I locked in for like 2 months. But this whole time, I'm still on job seekers allowance. I'm still smoking, still drinking, still never done a push-up in my life. And then the fateful day, you come to my house and take that picture. And it was that moment I was like,
it was raining as well, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, the weather was disgusting. I mean, for those of you who are UK based, maybe not right now because the sun is scorching, but back then the weather was dire. Like it was raining outside. I remember we were literally like going to go out, weren't we?
Probably, yeah.
We were going to go out and I was telling Sam about, all the training and whatnot, calisthenics. And then he was like, oh, okay, yeah, I've convinced him. I was like, right, we're going to start today.
Yeah.
And then we took that picture in your kitchen. And yeah, I mean, the picture says everything you need to know.
And it was like everything from graduation till that point happened for a reason. Because even trying to get like a house share, I had the worst experience of my life. I remember I signed a contract in Walthamstow in a house. There were 4 illegal Albanians in one room, 2 Guatemalans in one room, 2 Romanians in one room, 1 dude from Canada. There was no internet. They didn't speak any English. And I remember the Albanians, whilst they were super nice and chill, drinking and smoking in the kitchen, and my room was right next to theirs, they were making hella noise up until like 1 a.m. I remember telling you guys and the boys, they had the audacity to say, oh, why don't you tell them to shut up? Yeah, I'm going to go tell 4 illegal Albanians to shut up. And also the fact that they told me that they were illegal was like, well, I obviously can't say anything now because if the police knock up, not that I would, please, if there's anyone from the Albanian Mafia watching, I've never said anything and I never will. But yeah, I literally had like the worst experience post-uni. I thought post-uni was going to be like the best time of my life. 100% depressed, no money, on job seekers allowance, living in an absolute shithole. I then found another place which was terrible as well. Like,
that was the place where we took the picture, the second place.
Like that place, like I had a few good housemates, but like just hell on earth, everything was just bad. And then from that picture, I think around that picture was when I somehow landed my job at the New York Stock Exchange. And that was kind of when my life started to change. I actually landed like a good job.
Yeah. So tell us what happened then from that point onwards when you landed your job. What changed for you?
So luckily, those 2 things happened at the same time where I started working out and I got my job. I mean, for me, obviously, it was a massive thing for me to get that job because it had prestige. And I think for me, it was all about like impressing others. It was almost like I didn't care what the job was. I just didn't want the job to be a shit company so that I could tell people, oh, I work for the New York Stock Exchange. And it was a really good job. Look, met some people that I'm still really, really close with, made some decent money. It was very, very hard. Learned a shitload about kind of financial services. But more importantly, it was starting fitness. It was starting that process of getting in shape, building discipline for myself, building self-respect. I noticed such a big difference from the first 6 months that I was there to, let's say, the second 6 months of the year or the year after, where I actually got in shape. And I noticed the difference in how people treated me, the way that people actually kind of naturally want to be your friend and talk to you. So for me, I was lucky enough that I'd started the job unfit, and then I kind of finished the job in the best shape of my life. And that interaction of growing up, especially as a man, in shape, changes everything.
Everything, yeah.
My sales were better. Literally, my interpersonal relationships with colleagues was better. Bosses respected me more. When I went for interviews, I just carried myself with so much more confidence.
Yeah.
It was almost like that's what I needed in my final year of uni to bridge that gap between being smart and actually achieving shit. What I didn't have between the two was, yes, okay, maybe I had the intelligence, but I had zero discipline, zero work ethic. And it was fitness, the first thing in my life that actually built that discipline and that fitness. Purely from literally, sometimes I would just go to the gym when I would start and just do 10 push-ups at the gym and go home. But I was building that discipline. I was building that work ethic as someone who, when they say they're going to do something, they actually commit to it. And I think that was the biggest thing when people saw us maybe a year or two later from when we started our fitness journeys. It was less about the physical difference, which obviously was massive, and no one could have ever believed it. But it was the mental difference, which I definitely want you to touch upon. I know obviously you kind of started that a bit before me, but let's talk a bit more about how actually just building that consistency, that discipline, completely changed us as individuals.
I think the best way to put it is self-belief suddenly started to become a thing. So like before, it was always like, oh, you know, follow the crowd and basically do what everyone else does, right? Get the career, live the cushy life, go out every weekend, that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden it became, our weekends became, oh, let's meet up to go and train.
Yeah.
You know, we used to train at Primrose Hill, or we used to go and train at wherever it was. And at the time, I had already, I think when you just or were going through your fitness journey in the first couple of months, that's when I started to take on my first few clients.
Yeah.
So I started to coach people who were close to me, people who I went to school with, who saw what I was going through, and they were like, oh, like, you know, can you help me? And I think that in itself opened up the doors of a completely different level of self-belief. So now when I went to social things, I was able to kind of, like Sam said, have an aura of self-confidence that I'd never had before. And I was able to then disassociate from just that lifestyle. So when someone said, oh, you know, do you want to go and do this thing? I'd be like, oh, no, I've got to go and train first.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to make sure I eat this first. And then I'd go and do that thing. And a lot of people back at that time would be like, oh, like, why? Like, who cares? Just miss one. And it's like, no, I've got to do it. Right? I remember even when I was on my weight loss journey, that very first sort of 6 months, my parents, my friends, and whatever, they would like always like want to eat out or like eat this or eat that, and I'd be like, no, like I've got to eat this. I'm not eating this thing. I have to stick to my diet. And it was the ability then to go, oh crap, hold on a minute, I actually can do, like I can make decisions that better myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say no.
Yeah.
And that was really the turning point. That's when I really went harder into personal training. I then started to think, oh, like maybe I don't need this corporate role.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do something else. I started to, make ideas around what I could do with my life. And that's when Versus Gravity started to become born. Right.
Yeah.
So at the start, it was just a personal vlog. Then I think this coincided with just when lockdown,
yeah.
I started to then basically start building Versus Gravity. Do you remember when we were in our house in Oval?
So I guess as well, for context, when Ihsan graduated, he lived with his parents.
Yeah.
I was living like various flat shares. Then literally just as COVID happened, like a month or two after in 2020, we moved into a house together with like two other friends.
Yeah. And during that time, do you remember we were doing our 9 to 5, but then pretty much like at the time of COVID, no one was really online. No one cared. Everyone knew.
Everyone thought we were all going to die anyway. So
yeah, no one was really working. Like you could pretend to work. I was working on my business. I was working on Versus Gravity. I had like maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 clients, and everything was going really well. And that's really when things started to shift for me, because I was like, oh, I don't need this corporate role anymore.
Yeah.
I can actually do something completely different with my life.
Yeah.
And then, that's essentially, that was when my horizons broadened, was when I was able to really like see the difference in A, how I was able to say no to people, B, how I could go against the status quo.
Yeah, it's impressive to see. And even for me, as his best friend, I even had a bit of friction where it's kind of like, you know, like when your friend says, oh, I don't want to go pub or whatever, and you're like, oh, go on, mate, do it. And deep down, it's just because you maybe feel a bit of jealousy. Like, oh, you wish you could say no. So even sometimes when he would say no to things, deep down, I'd be a bit like, oh, fuck, I kind of wish I could be like that. But I didn't have that in me at the time. I still remember once, and I think it was when we were living together in Oval, you said something about like, oh, I've got to train like an athlete. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, mate, that's like the cringiest thing ever. Like, get over yourself. And then deep down, I was like, oh shit, no. Like, the only reason why I reacted that way, like irrationally, is because deep down, oh, that's just jealousy. It's like I don't have the mental strength to actually just say no to things and to live in a certain way that requires more discipline of myself. And hearing you saying that actually massively changed my own way of thinking of like, fuck, if I actually want to achieve certain things in life, you need to fucking give it 100%.
Yeah.
You can't half-ass it. Because at that time, I was still drinking on weekends. And come Monday, because we would train together, obviously, because it's during COVID. Come Monday, I was still hungover over the weekend. And I just noticed my progress kind of like dipping down. And you were just fucking going up like this. And then I saw what it took to do that. And I realized it's not his training, it's his mindset. It's his ability to say no and locked in, but still also be able to have fun and like chill. It's not like you were boring as fuck.
No.
We still had so much fun that year. But yeah, I think I needed to see that in you as well.
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to do. It is definitely hard to do it, to break out of a norm when there's no example.
But also it happens naturally. It's not like he changed from one day to the next. Like what we're describing here is something that arguably started at uni.
Yeah.
And then happened like 2 years later. And I think so many people watching this are like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to be like that tomorrow. It's not going to fucking happen from one day to the next.
100%. No.
And I think, like you said, the most important thing is I was lucky that I had him. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have started this. And we were lucky that a few of our other close friends also trained calisthenics. So our environment was super conducive to stop doing the things that we should probably stop doing, talking about things that are going to benefit us and holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
So I think having that accountability aspect, I always say it's like one of the most important things, because it's so
100%.
hard to be the trailblazer like Ihsan is and set the own example for yourself and others. Majority of people will probably sit closer in my camp that I lean on other people for accountability and inspiration. That helps me change. You don't have to be the trailblazer.
You don't have to. But also, like, ask yourself this, right? It's in human nature not to be.
Yeah.
So, like, if you had no repercussions for doing anything bad, right? If it was just you sat in a room, society didn't care about how you looked, you get everything you wanted, even if you were, like, completely out of shape, you wouldn't take action on it. You wouldn't. You just wouldn't care. But that's not the reality. The reality is, as you alluded to before, when you do put effort into yourself in whatever facet it is, the outcomes are exponentially better. And so, yeah, I think, you know, obviously some people have an innate, like, ability to just switch off and go 100% in. But think Goggins and that sort of stuff. But then other people need to be shown, oh, this is possible. And then take action. Also,
like, because whilst you had that ability, I don't think that people are born with it or not. I think it can just happen. Because I don't think you had that ability at uni.
No.
So it's not like, I don't want you to watch this and be like, oh, I've never demonstrated anything to suggest that I am that person, therefore I'll never be that person. You never thought you'd be this person maybe not 5 years ago, like 10 years ago. I never thought I'd be this person like 8 years ago.
Yeah, 100%.
So naturally you can change. It's not like this has been your life, so therefore you're always going to behave like this.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to be born a doer to become a doer. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was even the case for me. When I think back to when I was in school, I pretty much was getting bad grades in like year 7 and 8 and year 9 as well. And it was one moment where one of the clever, bright kids, still remember him to this day, and obviously shout out to, I'll name Haroon. Shout out to you, Haroon.
Shout out to you. I have no idea who you are. But.
Yeah, but without you, none of this would have happened, because there was one day when I was walking home from school with him and my grades were so bad, and he said to me, dude, it's just because you don't believe in yourself. He said, the reason you do badly is because you don't believe in yourself. And that was that one moment for me, the trigger where I was like, oh, I can do this. Yeah. So like, even me, I never had, as you said, the innate ability to just switch on, switch off. Some people do, right? Again, the Goggins, that sort of stuff. Some people are just born like that. But 99.9999% of us are not like that. We need a trigger moment. The beautiful thing is take it from us. You don't need a trigger moment where suddenly it flips its entire, everything gets flipped on its head. You just need to do one small thing at a time, and it will snowball into something more meaningful.
It's very gradual. Like if you look at both of our journeys, it is very, it's literally day by day. And it's not even just day by day like that. It's like that, and then you'll have relapses, and it's just like constantly like, but as long as you're still kind of walking up that mountain, doesn't matter if you take like detours or whatever, as long as your eyes are still set on that goal, you will get there eventually. It doesn't matter how long it takes.
I mean, look at our business.
Yeah.
Look at Versus Gravity. When it started when I incorporated it in 2021, it was nothing, right? And then there was a whole period, 2022, where we made no money.
Mate, so like for context,
nothing.
Obviously I joined him in 2022. He started it in 2018, like the real life page.
Yeah.
It took 6 years to go from 0 to 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
And then it took 2 weeks to go from 10K to 186,000. And it's not as if we were doing nothing in that time.
Yeah, we were just hacking away.
There was a point where we were posting 3 times a day for like 8 months.
Yeah.
We barely grew any followers.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. And I think sometimes we forget. It's like, fuck, we've actually been doing this. Obviously, you've been doing it longer, but none of this has happened overnight at all.
No. But even like, I look now at like the growth of our business, right?
Yeah.
I look at the number of clients that we work with. You compare that to last year, it's exponentially more.
Yeah.
And then you compare last year to the year before we had nothing.
Yeah.
We had no clients. So it's one of those things where like, yeah, okay, it's not going to show itself immediately, whether it's business, whether it's your career, whether it's fitness. It is something that will always be a slow burn. But the number one thing, the intrinsic value behind all of it is effort.
And I think it can be made easier by having the right people around you who are doing the effort themselves, but also push you to do the effort.
100%.
But one thing I kind of want to kind of reel back on is the journey from kind of the last point at which we touched, where essentially I'd kind of started New York Stock Exchange, or like a few years into it. This is the point where we've kind of changed our life around. Right? Great shape, good at calisthenics. I've pretty much joined Versus Gravity at this point.
Yeah.
You've quit your job. He's full time. From that point to where we are now, where we're like fully self-sustainable and we fully quit, because I could argue that the initial journey from university to that point wasn't necessarily the bumpiest, but then from that point to actually there were a few things for both of us that happened that were extremely bumpy. So I'd say let's touch upon that. So let's say from the point where I'm working at 6, you've quit, we're like fully into Versus Gravity. I think by that point maybe like the school that we'd first created, like we're making some money, we've got some clients, stuff's going well, but like times are tough. We're not making that much. We
were only making like $3,000 a month.
Yeah, and
between 2 people.
You just got like, I guess talk about this, but you got married. I'm not going to spoil what happens after you got married, but you put 2 and 2 together.
So Sam's right. I think the bumpiest time was actually when all of a sudden this Versus Gravity actually became a thing, right? It was no longer just a little side project. Now it was my life. Like I'd given up my corporate career to do this full time. No money at all coming in. As you said, we had the school community. That was awesome. Loved running it. But yeah, $3,000 between 2 people in London is nothing, right? And then I got married. And obviously, life was all great and whatever. But then it was like, well, shit, now I've got to provide, right?
How old were you when you got married?
I was 27.
27.
So, it was like, oh, crap. There's another huge life event. And now it's not just me, living with my parents and not giving a crap about, money's coming in, money's not. Now it's like, oh, wait, hold on a minute. My life is moving from 50 miles an hour now at like 80 miles an hour. And then lo and behold, not too long after that, I had my kid. And then it was like, oh shit, life's no longer 80 miles an hour. Now it's like 400 miles an hour.
Well, not only that, let's touch upon the fact that you're obviously married at this point. We have a very good friend of ours, Andy, who actually we shot the first ever podcast with. So you should go on our YouTube and watch it. He opened Gymnation in London Bridge. You actually got a job there.
Yeah, I was PTing.
Well, not only that, you were general manager.
That was after.
That was after.
Yeah. So our friend Andy opened the gym. I was doing in-person PT. That was pretty much my income. And then we essentially started to really like pick up on the online side, right? But it was going really, really slow. And then it was like, oh wait, now I'm having a kid. And that's when I was like, well, I can't get by just by winging it with no income. Now I've got to change something. So I started to look for a job again. So all of a sudden, me going into, I'm just going to start my own business. This is it. No more working again. I found myself back at square one, where we had Versus Gravity, but I had to actually make some money.
How did that feel, having to reapply for jobs again when you probably thought, that's it, I'm done with the corporate life forever. This is going to be my life. I'm going to be an online like fitness coach, and now you're kind of almost having to like go back. Did it feel like you'd kind of failed?
Yeah,
for lack of a better term.
Hugely. It really did feel like, it all flopped. But there was something in me that was just didn't want to give it up. I was like, no, this is it. I'm not settling for that. I know this can work. Like we've done so well to get this far. At that point, we had 180 something thousand followers, right? So we were doing well. I knew that it would work, but life just hit me right in the face.
Didn't have time.
Didn't have the
I obviously had more time than him, but like at that point I'd changed job to the Swiss Stock Exchange, funnily enough, and that was more hours, more responsibilities. I had other commitments outside of work as well that like took a lot of time from me. You've just had a kid, you're gonna have to find a new job. And I think there were definitely points along that journey where we probably both, even though you believed in it, we probably both thought like, oh, fuck, like it would actually be just easier maybe to just sack it off and
just go back
and just focus on the corporate. Because look, you can earn a lot of money, and we're not here to shit on like 9 to 5s. This is not the whole point of this video, right? Like it's a very honorable way of making money. It's like that's what we always wanted to do. I always enjoy the companies that I worked at, but kind of like once you've tasted the other side of it, it's very hard to go back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there were plenty of times where we were like, fuck, like, we just can't manage it. I was struggling with my time schedule. I didn't really have the motivation to want to film content, especially when you're not really seeing much money come from it.
Yeah.
You've just had a kid, you're not getting any sleep. And what effect did that have on your fucking health and fitness? Because you basically kind of, your workouts, it just fucked it up.
Disappeared. Yeah. So like for the first like 3 months, I picked up an injury because I was too tired. I couldn't train properly. So when I was training, it was inadequate. I picked up an injury with my shoulder. I lost a lot of the calisthenic skills that I'd trained so hard for, couldn't do anymore. I was running on like 3 hours, 4 hours sleep. I was working in corporate sales again, which was relentless because it wasn't just like, you go to the office and you faff around and grab a coffee. No, like I was hammering the phones. I was cold calling. I was doing that. I was doing like 30 to 40 dials a day. I was doing like 200 emails a day, trying to then manage Versus Gravity as well on the side, picking up, consultation calls with potential clients, and then having to go home, work more on Versus Gravity, and be a dad, and be a husband, and then go to bed and do all of that between. I started my day, I think, at like 6 a.m. So I could actually work on Versus Gravity. I'd go to work at 8. I'd come home at 6. I'd barely see my daughter because she'd be asleep by the time I'd get home.
Yeah.
And then I'd work, and then I'd go to bed at 9. And that was my life for 6 months straight. Then I was like, our friend Andy basically offered me a sales manager role. And so I was like, well, this is aligned. It's fitness. And also, I get the potential to be in a business. So I did that. But again, I found myself back at square one. I was like working even longer hours. And it was also manual work sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was doing like, 10, 12 hours a day, then doing Versus Gravity and still trying to be a husband and a father. And it didn't work. And at one point I kind of turned around and was like, look, I can't do this because my body's broken. My mentality was broken. I was exhausted, and it basically flooded into every other aspect of my life. I had, worsening relationships with people around me because I was becoming more irritable. I was more tired. I didn't want to talk to people. And that's essentially when I kind of drew a line in the sand. I was like, I can't do this. And just trusted and believed in Versus Gravity.
I think the only saving grace you probably had was the fact that you were able to walk out at home for like 20 to 30 minutes. Because I think if it wasn't for that, I don't think it would have ended too well for you.
Honestly, yeah. I was very fortunate that I had enough knowledge at the time. And I also had good coaches to basically help me train on 20 to 30 minutes, like at a time, maybe 4 or 5 times a week.
Do you know what's funny is you actually made really good progress during that time period.
I did.
We all thought, that's it. I'm finally going to be able to overtake him in calisthenics. But you actually made even faster progress.
I made even faster. I think the strongest I was, well, not now. Now I'm the strongest. But that summer when I was working at Gymnasium, I was super strong. But yeah, like without kind of changing my approach to training, I would have been done, because all I'd known up until that point was, well, I need to make sure I do this. I have to train this many times a week and this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it all changed.
Yeah, it's funny because it both kind of happened around the same time for us. Obviously, I'm not going to compare what I was going through to what he was, because his one's on another level. But I think we both had to really change our approach to training. Because I think around that same time, I landed my job at Bloomberg, which for me was almost like a dream job. I was like, fuck me, I've got this. But the thing is, that just meant longer working hours, more responsibility. At my previous jobs, I was in pure sales. And in sales, you can kind of be your own boss. Like, you manage your own diary, you figure out when you want to do your calls. Bloomberg was relentless, man. It was 8 till 6 in the morning, and it was like 8 till 6. So I had to suddenly train in the morning, which I'd never done before. So we'd gone from training for like hours and hours a week, especially when we lived together during COVID. All we did was just to blare heavy metal and train. IBM train. When I was in finance, I would train. Suddenly I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I've got no fucking time to train. I'm not even enjoying doing my previous training because I'm still trying to shove it into my schedule that was working before, that wasn't working now. I also kind of to some extent had like worsened relationships around me because I was really irritable. I remember finishing the evening and coming back and I just it's not like I didn't care about versus gravity. It's more like I just don't have the creative energy to put it in. We know someone who always said, you've only got so many creativity points throughout the day. It's not just the lack of time that eats into it. It's also when you're putting in so much mental focus into your training in the morning, into your 9 to 5, you come back and I'm like, you're asking me these questions that I just don't know the answer to it. And I was kind of at this crossroad where for me, I actually, although I'm saying it was hard, I really enjoyed working at Bloomberg. I really saw myself making good money and carving a career out for myself. Or I was going to go down the versus gravity route. And for me, it was a risk.
Huge risk, man.
And obviously, before we got to that point, like I really had to dial in my training. I kind of had to switch to like much shorter workouts, kind of spread out throughout the week. So I was able to kind of recuperate on my health, which was really important from a mental perspective. But yeah, I think it was when we went to Thailand on our masterminds that I was presented with an ultimatum of like, look, am I going to continue just like, is it all lip service saying, oh, I'm going to quit, or am I actually going to do it? And luckily enough, again, you can see a pattern here because I've got my friend here who'd done it before. And I've like, mate, if he can do it and he's got a mortgage, a wife and a kid, what the fuck am I doing? And like, he asked me, do you actually believe in it? I was like, yeah, I do. So therefore there, and then came back from Thailand and pretty much quit within that week.
I mean, yeah, like, you know, it was funny because like, I remember thinking about it I was trying to step out of my shoes, right? The trouble with me, and this is a character trait of mine, is when I have my mind set on something, I pretty much put the blinkers on. So like, I'll just go and do it. And basically any other sort of like reasoning that comes in the way, I'm like, yeah, shut up, not interested. So every time I spoke to Sam about it, I found myself being like, why isn't he doing it? Why isn't he doing it? Like, I don't understand. But then I really had to kind of sit down and think, okay, cool. Like, well, why isn't he like doing it yet? And it made me genuinely realize, hey, look, he's actually like, he's walking away from golden handcuffs, right?
Yeah, like it's good money.
Really
it's
good money. Really, like you'd be
good
chilling.
Career.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the fact that you did it, dude, like it just undermines just how brave you were in taking that step.
Yeah, but it's funny because now that it's happened, like I don't even view it as bravery. It's almost like that part of my life never happened. Obviously, it's the best decision I've ever done. But yeah, it's just funny to look back at. We both achieved corporate levels of success on paper. I got a job at Bloomberg. He was at IBM. We were making great money. We'd achieved everything that we set out to at university, but yet we fucking were more miserable than ever. We definitely suffered from corporate burnout. And I think the only thing that kept us going was the fact that we could just train a few times a week, here and there, half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever, whenever we had time. I think that was the one thing that kind of towed us in line and made sure that we actually just didn't go insane.
Yeah.
Because look, we're not 22 anymore. Like, we're both 31. I know we look like we're like 21 years old, but we're both 31. But like, we both have to make decisions now that they're not like risky necessarily than being in your early 20s, but these decisions have to be made right now. And I think it almost doesn't matter. Look, we've built versus gravity to a point where obviously like we're doing pretty well with ourselves, let's just say. But the one thing which is still a privilege, even the ability to quit your job, even though to do the job that is your dream, to inspire others, is to actually have a body that moves and is pain-free and can perform certain things. That's actually the biggest privilege. Sometimes 100%. I forget, it's like, I'm pain-free. I can get up whenever I want, move however I want. I'm not scared that I'm going to injure my back fucking walking up the stairs. And I think it's so cool how all of this has happened. Our whole life has transformed from what we were like before, literally just because we started fucking doing pull-ups and push-ups in our bedroom floor.
Yeah, and you know what's so interesting? It's like, it's the one currency that no matter what walk of life you're in, whether you're a CEO or whether you're a bin man, right? It doesn't matter. Like, everyone respects someone who's in shape.
Yeah.
And I think like that's the thing that really opened my eyes, because, you know, so we've got loads of friends who are doing extremely well, right? But then I look at kind of, you know, what's actually like on paper, right? If you really to strip it down bare bones, I mean, you're all in the same room together. The one thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure Sam will also testify to, is that no matter who's in the room, because we're in shape, there's a certain level of respect that it commands.
Yeah.
And people take you seriously. People actually pedestalize you in some sense. And I see it, you know, even when I go to, for example, like random weddings, right? People will just, like, when they find out what I do, they come up to me and they talk to me. And I'm like, I don't know who the hell this person is, but they're asking me for advice.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, that is the one currency that no matter what you do in life, everyone is going to respect. Everyone wants to know, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
Right? So you're 100% right. I think it's the one thing that's allowed us to go from where we were now, or then, to where we are now, and what will continue to allow us to grow and ascend, more so than anything else.
Yeah, because it kind of does two things. One, obviously, from the discipline aspect, from the composure, from the respect that you gain, it helps you in the corporate world as well. I mean, I wouldn't have got Bloomberg if it wasn't for the transformation journey that I'd been on myself. I'm not saying that just because I could do a handstand push-up, that's what got me Bloomberg, but it's the process of what I had to go through to learn those skills that enabled me to be more confident, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And then number two is it allows you to, in certain social situations, meet more like-minded individual. And because people maybe naturally pedestalize you, which I'm not necessarily actually saying is inherently good. Look, someone could be an absolute dickhead just because they're in shape doesn't mean you should pedestalize them. But it just opens up more doors. When people respect you more intrinsically and when people pedestalize you more, it opens different avenues, and then you find yourself in situations where, like, hang on, how the fuck did I get here when I was the skinny, spotty loser 10 years ago that person never would have spoken to? And now I'm here at this point in life, and it's because of that fucking transformative process that happened.
That's it. And this is the transformative process, to be honest. If I was to kind of summarize what that actually is, it's again coming back to self-belief.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if I do X, I will get Y. So therefore now, if someone said to me, Ihsan, you've got a $10,000 bill you need to pay tomorrow and you've got nothing in your account, what are you going to do? I believe that I can do it because I trust myself, because I've gone through the trials and tribulations of turning up, putting in the effort, not seeing any results, turning up, putting in the effort, not seeing any results. Like that at its base level is what fitness is. It's not just about how good you look at the end of it. That how good you look at the end of it is the icing on the cake. What really you build through all of that is grit, self-belief, determination, and the ability to just put your head down, focus on the task without having to worry about the outcome of that specific thing.
Yeah, I think it matters even more as you get older, because look, everyone can be in shape when you're 15 years old or at university, even though we weren't. University is easy as fuck. You got zero responsibilities at uni. I know some of you might be university watching this, been like, oh, university's so hard, I've got this. Trust me, once you live in the real world, once you have kids, I'm sure like, university is a piece of piss compared to that. How about being in shape in your 30s with a kid, managing a business on the side? What about being in your shape in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? That's even more impressive, which is why it commands even more respect. If you're like in your 50s and you're in shape, and in shape, by the way, doesn't mean doing a full planche and handstand push-ups. It means the ability to move, having half decent cardio, maybe some good mobility, being able to do some pull-ups, push-ups, bench, squat, whatever it is. Just like someone who's got good posture, can work on their body. If you can do that at that age, that's even more impressive. And it commands
100%.
even more respect. And we're not even going to open the other door when it comes to longevity and health. But I don't need to sit here and tell you that working out is good for your health, because you all know that.
And look, this is why there's more. It's rarer to find someone with a six-pack than to find someone who's a millionaire in the US. There you go. Sounds rare. He's a rare Pokemon card.
I mean, I would kind of rather be a millionaire right now. Please, can I swap them?
But it's true, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why. And it's because you can fake your way to $1 million. You can't fake your way unless you obviously go and get surgery, but you still need money for that. So you can't really fake your way to good health.
But you know what's so funny is because I would objectively look at the fact that it's a lot harder to make $1 million, because all these people, including ourselves and everyone watching, you've probably all achieved a certain level of success to get to where you are in life. That required so much more work than just working out a few times a week to get in good shape. If any of you are like lawyers, doctors, work corporate, whatever, think about all the studies you had to do, starting from GCSEs, A-levels, universities, masters, whatever, continuation training. You get your first grad job, and then it's like another 10 years to get to that point. That required so much work. For you to change your entire life and body and mind and discipline could literally be 6 months of just working out 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So there's actually almost no excuse, and it's why we're so passionate about it, and kind of why we both started Versus Gravity. It's because the process is so fucking simple. And when we see people that don't do it, we feel like an obligation to tell these people, like, dude, just do it, because your life will change forever. And it's not even that hard.
Yeah.
So why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
And so we'll never shut up about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm shutting up now, but yeah. So, I mean, yeah, look, like you're totally on the ball. I think it's because when you're working a career, when you've got money in front of you, it's easy to see what the end product will be. Everyone can visualize their life and how it can be exponentially better if we've all got $1 million in the bank. But to turn up day in, day out, see no change in the number of push-ups you can do, see no physical change in your chest and your abs or whatever, and still turn up and do it, that takes a certain level of dedication. And that's why I think oftentimes we see a lot of people who they just don't do it, because the return is not immediate.
Good point.
But it's also the reason why you should do it. It's why they always say, don't try and beat the stock market. You know, the whole idea is you play it long, you're gonna be more likely to succeed. It's the same thing. It's just obviously one is actually gonna give you a long, healthy life. The other one might make your life look really nice, but it's not going to solve your health problems directly.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's the duality of man.
He loves that term.
I do.
And
love
any opportunity he gets to say the duality of a man, it's thrown in there. My one's which one?
I don't know.
If no man, what is it?
God, I can't even remember.
If you teach a man to fish. Anyway, I've just sidetracked him. You were saying.
No, that's it. That was my point.
Well,
that was my point.
There we go. I've just ruined the entire podcast.
You ruined it.
Fuck. Maybe I never should have started Calisthenics all those years ago.
No, but honestly, like if you're watching this, I think the one takeaway is if you are someone who, whether you're trying to ascend the corporate ladder, whether you're trying to get in shape, the one most intrinsic quality that you should try and pride yourself on is relentless effort. Effort is the one thing, no matter how smart you are, no matter how crap you may feel, no matter where your starting point is, it's the one tiny bit of currency that you need in order to unlock everything else. If you can put the effort in, you can stay consistent, you can hold yourself accountable, you will get the result.
It really is like a multiplier, isn't it? Whatever you're doing in life, it just makes it better.
Yeah, 100%,
in every way.
100%.
Cool. That's been a really, really interesting one. Trip down memory lane, talking about university, talking about corporate. It feels weird to know that I've quit almost a year ago.
Yeah.
You quit how long ago? When did you actually quit IBM?
Oh, 2022.
Fuck. So it's been 4 years for him, but I guess another point that I'd want you guys to take from this is stuff takes time. Like what you're seeing now, the product we're seeing now, and we're just getting started, by the way. We've got so many big aspirations for Versus Gravity, ourselves, our future. It took time. It took time believing in it, but having said that, that doesn't mean that you can't start today. That doesn't mean you can't see short, immediate success, but for it to really transform your life in every single way, just trust the process and stop trying to always chase kind of short results, because that's what fucked us, I think. I think the reason why we were undisciplined at university is because we wanted stuff now. I want it now. I want the handstand push-up now. And a month in, I didn't get it, so I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
That mindset's just not going to serve you.
In anything.
Any last in points?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head nicely. Is literally you got to broaden your horizons. You got to remember that everything good or everything worth having is going to take time, take effort.
And effort, yeah. Like, it's not going to be easy.
Not going to be easy. But that's why it's important. Like, surround yourself with the right people. Get yourself in the position where you can make small incremental changes. And as we said, right, it snowballs in the end. But it's one step at a time, 1% better every single day.
Preach. And look, if you want some help from us, just check the link in the description below. We've got a few resources down there. But yeah, we really enjoyed this. If there's any other topics you want us to cover, more than happy to drop them below. Follow our Instagram as well, versus.gravity. And I think that's it. See you on the next episode of the Versus Gravity podcast. Boom!